Hello and welcome to the Feedback Show. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
This is the show where we take the artwork sent into us by our members and we give feedback on it. Well, I don't give feedback. You give feedback, Dad, on it. I'm no expert. This is a bonus to members of our website. So if you're a member of Colin Bradley Art, then you get this little added bonus. And we broadcast it on YouTube because there are many others out there that would benefit from this advice. And we know that many have because we've done 13, or this is the 13th one we've done. And we've had lots of really lovely comments over past shows that the advice has really helped other artists. So that's the purpose of this show. We've got some lovely pictures. I was just showing you, Dad, what we got today, and some real variety in this week's show, haven't we?
We have. It's nice to see that. I mean, we had a dog show last week, didn't we? But
yeah,
this week we've got I'd still like to see a few more landscapes.
That's true.
It's all
animal portraits. Yeah.
Well, it's probably, I tell you why that is, probably because landscapes are easier than portraits are, pet portraits or ordinary portraits are, simply because you've got a more exacting, you want to be more exact with it, you know. With the landscape, you can kind of get away with it a bit. You know, you can get away with it not looking quite right, or, you know, the colour of the tree could be different, or the colour of the, you know, the building could be different. So, but when you've got animals, especially in the case of a couple on here where they're commission work, you've got to be pretty accurate. It's no good saying, what do you think of this pink cat? Well, yeah, but I wanted my cat's brown or whatever, you know. I mean, you can't get away with that, whereas you can in landscape work, because you can always say, oh, well, this is artistic license. Artistic license on animals, it does apply, but not in the same degree as with landscape. That's why we're getting more animals, and quite right too.
Yeah. Well, we've got some really great pictures coming up. This is the last broadcast before we go to America. We've had really loads of comments come through, lots of lovely emails. Apologies if I haven't replied to you yet, everyone, because we're getting so many lovely things said to us about, you know, good luck, and I hope it all goes well. And we're making all the final preparations here, and we leave on Saturday, don't we?
Yes, oh yes, it's a lot of work involved, and I'm sure people appreciate that. So they'll let you off, Steve, for not getting back to them. But it's nice to tell people that we've got it and we've had it, and you know, we appreciate it all.
Yeah, we really do. So we're away from the 10th to the 15th, and so next week's podcast, which is usually a live broadcast, it might be a little late. But we're going to do some Facebook Lives as well when we're out there. So people will still...
nice, won't it?
Yeah, people will still get a little behind the scenes of us in Denver. Okay, let's get cracking with the first piece. This is from Tony. Hello, Colin. I would be very happy if you could give me feedback on my first pastel work. The photo was taken by me in Kenya in 1993, and I've loved it ever since. Well, of course, I struggled with the background. I'm not so happy with that. I found it a bit tiresome to do after I had finished the line, which you can probably see. I'm quite happy with the line, though. I think I have been a bit hard with some of the areas in the face, and maybe also the light and shadow. The ears were also quite challenging. I finished my drawing yesterday after 4 days' work. So what do you think?
Well, I think for a first pastel work, it's brilliant. And you've got a lot of courage in attempting something like this first time. To stick a background in, especially a background that is script anyway, even to our experienced artists, they'd find that tricky. So I think you've done really well considering. I mean, my comments are, you're right, actually, in what you say. The eyes, for instance, that's all you see. When you look at the animal, you see the eyes. Now, that's important, and really important that you do that. But it's in relation to the tones in the face, there could be just a little bit the tone. I would think the eyes are all right, but you could do with a little bit more strength. Really is that, and the roundness. If you look at the animal, the back of the animal, from the edge of the face to the rump.
Yeah.
Down this to the animal, it looks a little flat, as though you've ironed it. And now this is because you haven't taken account of the subtle changes of tone. If you look at the where the grass is hitting the animal, it's a lot darker than that. The animal's a lot darker. And even if you just put a little bit more of the grey and I would imagine you're using something like 187 into there, that would make that just that little bit more round.
Okay.
You'd see what I mean. And the other problem you've got there is where the background hits the animal at the top. Now you've got light on that, and I can see why you put it on, because if you look at the animal, the photograph, you'll see there's a little bit of light on that. But if you've got light on the animal, you can't have light in the background. You've got to darken the background. So once again, this is something that you'll learn as we go on. And I wouldn't worry too much at the moment. There's so many things in this that I'm sure you're looking at and thinking, wow, I need to do this and I need to do that. Bide your time. The more you do and the more you watch on my site, the better you'll be at it. You were a bit ambitious with the background, in fairness. I think that it's very difficult, because I would have probably fogged that a bit more. Instead of being, all the little blades of grass that are there, I would have tried to make that a little bit more out of focus. That's all I would have done, because it then gives you a chance for the animal to come forward more. But I think for a first time, wow,
it's excellent. Yeah,
I think it's brilliant, and I'm sure you must be thrilled to bits with a first time picture.
Yeah,
it's lovely that people expect to do a really fantastic job, and you can't. When my pictures started out, they weren't as good as yours. Not as good as that. Not when I started. So have heart.
Yeah,
it'll come.
Excellent. Oh, that's some really good advice there. I think that's really useful. Okay, next one. Thanks for sending that in. This is from Gabrielle. Gabrielle's done the Afghan Hound tutorial. She says, I was so excited when I saw it for the first time, and I learned a lot about long fur. There is really no rule to it, right? What do you think about it, Colin? I found the bottom part of the ears very challenging. Thank you for a wonderful tutorial.
Oh, well, I'm glad you liked it. There's no rules. I'm sorry, I'm afraid there are. The rules are that you see the hard lines you have on your picture. That's where, if you look at mine, you think, yeah, well, you've got them as well, Colin, but mine are more subtle. The shading is subtle, and that's what you've got to find in a picture. And it will come. It will definitely come as time goes on. What I would have been inclined to do in your case now is I would have used my pastel shaper and blended some of that in, because I think the lines are a little bit hard.
Just to soften it a bit.
Soften it a little bit, yeah. So when is a line not a line? Well, when it's either a shading or a shadow, because there isn't any hard lines in an animal. There isn't. It's just the fact of shading. So what you've got to try to do is represent that as best you can. It's not easy. I agree with you. Gosh, it isn't easy. And as far as the bottom is concerned, I think what you've done there, you've either cut the bottom off a little bit, because mine shows the relationship between the bottom of the fur on the ear and the body. Now, in my case, that was intentional, because had I done what you've done, you wouldn't know how long the ears were. You see what I mean? How far they get. So you kind of give the impression, by doing it the way you've done, is the ears are longer than they actually are. The way I've done it, you can see exactly how long the ears are.
Yeah, I didn't realise that.
No, a lot of people wouldn't. You see, you've seen me do this before. Oh, I'll cut that bit off. But by doing it, you actually change the impression of the animal. You got me? So that's what I would do. I mean, if I look at the body of my body and your body, I think if you look at the distance between the tongue and the start of the body on the right-hand side, yours is a little bit too low.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Got me?
Yeah.
So either you drew it freehand or you didn't take attention to my line. Now, it's something you can alter. It's not irreversible. You can change that. You can lift the body up a little bit. I think that's what you've done. You've extended the ear and it's gone on and on. I say this sometimes about trees, you know. I've got to get a landscape dig in here somewhere. When you have trees, if you don't have a structure for a tree, you can go on and on, putting more and more on, and ending up a tree can be half again as large as it should be because you don't know where to stop.
Yeah.
Now, this is a similar kind of idea. You know, you've got to have a stopping point, and you've got to stick to that stopping point. I hope I've helped.
That's interesting, actually. I'd never heard you say that before, believe it or not, in anything that we've done. I've never heard you say that about,
Really?
well, especially with the trees, the idea of the trees, of, you know, not being able to stop and it looking bigger than it should be, and that
Right.
rule, that kind of thing applying to animals as well. Yeah, that's a really good piece of
yes,
advice.
Steve, you're right. Well, a rule is a general rule anyway. In artwork, you see me cross over so many times with animals and portraits and landscapes. There are kind of are rules that apply to all of them.
Okay, well, thanks, Gabrielle. I hope that's helped, and anyone else listening and watching that. Yeah, that's really interesting. So we have a lovely picture sent in to us by Monica. Monica is looking to do this picture here of Madeline, and she'd like to get the right colour for the hair. So I thought I'd include it in the feedback show to give see if we could give Monica some advice.
Excellent. Yeah, I can understand why you're perturbed, because blonde hair is really hard to do. I mean, you're not talking about something that's going to be easy, and I guarantee you're going to struggle with this. I would if it was mine. The thing to do here is ivory is your key colour here. That's the colour for all the light areas you see there. I would put ivory in as a starting colour. Don't put white at all at the moment. You can always add white on top of ivory. There's nothing wrong with that, but I put as ivory as a base. And into that ivory, you'll have to play with the colours a bit. Now, there's going to be colours like the ochre. The 182 would be a good colour there, but there are going to be colours in between. Now, you may have to use the warm greys here. I would think 270 would be a colour that you could probably include in this. You're also going to have to use some strong tones, and that's going to be hard to find. Once you've got the grey and the oak, grey and the ivory in there, you might find that you could then put other colours such as 283, a touch of that in there. But you've got to be careful here. It's not easy. One of the things, if it was me doing that, it would say, I'm going to do my best to bring that colour into my picture, but if I have to change it, I'll have to.
Yeah.
You can't change it too dramatically, but you can change it. There's also kind of like blondie, yellowy tints in that, which suggests you probably could use something like 103. Is it 103? Yeah, 103, which is
that's
like
ivory. 102 is cream.
Yeah. 102 is ivory, and 103 is cream, I think.
No, 103 is ivory.
Oh, well, anyway, whatever.
102 is cream, anyway.
Well, I call it ivory with his 102. I call 10. Sorry, Steve, you're right. You know, I've got it all wrong, mate. You're right. Good job, you're there.
Well, I look at them every day.
Aren't I?
No, you're right. Yeah, 102 is the cream, and you're gonna have some of that in there too.
That's the one that I think you're going to probably have to touch in. Yeah. You know, but you'll have to play with it. As far as the dark hair is concerned, well, you'd need the grey in there. I wouldn't put ivory in that, not when you go into the dark hair at the side. I'd use the greys for that, and the colours you choose to use on top of the ivory. But don't put ivory, as you never get it dark enough.
So ivory in the light areas, light grey 270 for the slightly darker areas, bit of cream, bit of 102 and 283 possibly here and there to highlight those.
I've got a picture of the two children If you look at the two
Yes.
children and go over those colours, they're in the portrait part of the website.
Yeah.
That's a blonde. We've got a blonde and a brunette in there. So follow the colours I've used for that. They may not be the exact colours, but they'll be a good compromise colour.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Well, I hope that helps, Monica. Obviously it's a tricky one, and there's a lot of information that we've given away there. So I don't know if you can take from that and also combine that with the two children tutorial on the website.
The two children tutorial will help you because of the little tweaky little nose she's got, which is a sweet little nose, and the lips, the pouty lips. So you'll get a lot of information on that if you follow the rules of the blonde girl in that. I mean, the blonde girl in that picture is older than this little lady is, but it will still have the same tones, the same colours, the same colour range.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Monica. Next one is from Jill. Now, I think we had this picture on a previous show, and Jill's given this a go now. She says, "Hi, Stephen and Colin. I just finished this painting of Alfie the cat. I took your advice best I could on this one, but I was worried about adding red to the background, as I thought when blended, it would be a bit more pink. I found it quite hard to get the colour on this one of the fur, but the cat's owner loved it all the same. Not sure why I couldn't get the colour right, though."
Right. Well, you did almost get the colour right. If you look at the collar and below the collar, and then look at that colour, and then look at the top of the head, you'll see it's a different colour.
Well, this kind of around here.
Yeah, on the fur.
Yeah.
And then look at the top of the head, you've got a different colour. Yeah, if you look at the animal, it's the same colour. So what you've learned, this is one of the things happens as you progress through a picture, you learn as you go along. Now, you would have done that section below the collar after the head. And you think, oh, blimey, but there's no reason why you can't add the colours there. 283, I imagine you use there. And you could add that 283 to the top of the head. You can still do, or you can't because you've given it away now. But it doesn't matter if the customer is happy. That's the most important thing of all. And I was talking about the Afghan. I think it was Gabrielle's picture, and I said that you need a color shaper there. I would have used that color shaper a little more than you have done. Some of those lines, you see those lines below the collar. You've got a lot of folds there. And I'd have used the color shape to make it a little less liney. Look at the picture on the left, the photograph. Now, you're picking those lines up as lines, aren't you? But they're not, are they? They're
shading.
So you've got to be careful there, and a color shaper will help you enormously. Because if you look at the under the collar on the left-hand side there, you've got some lovely hair there. Look at that color on.
Yeah.
See how that really melts into each other. Now, why didn't you carry on with that all the way through? Because it would look great if you did.
Yeah.
The head's good. I mean, generally speaking, you've done very well. Backgrounds are always difficult because you did mention the background, and I would have made the background just a little darker than you've done.
Okay. That's interesting.
Because when you've got a dark animal against a light background, it shows up a little bit more. It's almost as though you haven't put a background on. So, and the background is meant to complement. You're meant to complement the animal or the subject with a background, not just put it in for the sake of it. So you've got to be careful there. I would have added a little more strength to that, just a touch, to make it just a little stronger.
Okay, that's some good advice there. I understand that.
Don't tell the lady or the person you've done it for, because they will be satisfied with it. They're very pleased with that, and quite rightly too. It's a lovely picture.
Yeah.
But these are for your ears only.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, thanks, Jill, for sending that in. Great job. Last one we have comes from Linda. Linda was struggling a bit with the paper being visible through the picture. We've had this before, actually, many times on various shows and podcasts. Linda says, I made a white base, but the brownish glow still remains visible. With the arms, I'm using a 270 instead of a white, and it appears to be better. So what can I do about the cheeks so that I know about this for future drawings? So the paper's sort of coming through the picture. Is it the paper?
Yeah. Well, it looks like you're drawing on a dark colour paper. And you know my rule on this, use a mid-tone colour.
Right.
Because that's what the problem is. You're seeing and looking at the colour, transferring it through. Pastel pencils is largely a translucent material. This is why I use the sand colour paper for it. Had you used the sand colour paper, you wouldn't have had the problem.
Right. So it's the colour of the paper that's the reason why that's happening then.
Exactly. Yeah. I've seen it so many times, and I've mentioned to you so many times that people have come to me in shows saying, you know, I've done exactly what you've done. Why does mine look dull? I said, what paper did you use? Oh, well, I used a dark green or a dark brown or whatever. Because they felt, I think it's quite right to think this, unless you know, that a dark paper would show up the picture more, which it does. If you look at that, how much better does that look as far as contrast is concerned to the way we do it, which is a bit dull if you think about it. But we put a background on, and that's why I do it. But it's because a background, a tone like that will reflect into the color. If you look at it now, I've told you that, you'll see the color
you can see the influence of it. Yeah. Do you think I don't know if this is true, but looking at the background on the photo, do you think that's why the color paper was chosen?
Possibly. Could be. It's because, Steve, again, people don't want to do the backgrounds. You wouldn't need to, would you? If you complete that picture with the arms and so on, and then put maybe just a little touch of color into the background, you'd leave it alone, wouldn't you? You wouldn't need any more.
Yeah, I would leave it. Yeah.
I'm afraid it's not the way I do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is useful to know. It's just, it helps to understand that, doesn't it? Why that's being there.
Yeah, there is one other thing I do as well, or could I say there is one thing I wouldn't do. I wouldn't do all those stripes.
Oh,
I would turn that little jumper or vest he's got on there into a plain blue one.
Yes, God, that's making life a bit difficult, isn't it?
I wouldn't put that little motive on either. You've got a little motive on there. What you're doing is make it more complicated for yourself. It's only a thought. It's only an idea, you know.
Well, it's good to know what you do with the picture like that, because I think, you know, people, this is why we're doing this. It's to offer your advice on what you would do.
Right.
And it's good for people to take that. And then if they choose, then they know that that's an option in the future. They go, oh, Colin wouldn't do this. How do I feel about that? Shall I do that or shall I not? How difficult is that going to be for me to do it? It's raising those questions for when people do their own work, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. But it's still, having said all the things we've said, it's still a really good picture and well done. Yeah. Portraits are really hard.
Yeah, and the hair looks great. It's another example of this. Just it's not so hard lines, a bit softer and things like that. It's done very well.
Here I've got to say, Stephen, here is where the paper probably helped.
Right. Yeah. It was the tone of the hair,
the skin tones, but it could have helped with the hair.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that makes sense. Fantastic. Oh well, that's the last one we've got for today. Thanks, Linda. Thanks everyone for sending in your work. If you've got a picture that you've done and you're a member of our website, then just email it over to me. Contact details are all on the website, so you can get in touch with us. And if you do send your artwork over, like the others here have included, just put in the reference photo as well if it's not one of our pictures, and also mention just what you found challenging. That's what we've always asked people, if they could just highlight a couple of areas that we can help them on, then it gives us a bit more to go on, and it helps, especially for this, because we can directly address things, which is hopefully what we've done here for people.
I would, if with Linda's picture here, I would continue with what she's done, and the person, whoever it's for, would be thrilled to bits with it.
Mm.
So don't whatever I'm saying to you, don't be put off, because you've made a good job of the picture, and we want to be perfect. We want perfection, and this is why I'm here to help you. But really, I would continue with that. I wouldn't take what I've said as damning the picture, because I'm not doing that.
No. Okay, great. So yes, we'll be back in another 2 weeks with more of the feedback. As I said, we'll be doing a Facebook Live whilst we're in Denver. May even do a couple of those, depending on how busy we are over there. If you've enjoyed the show, then please hit the thumbs up button on YouTube and subscribe if you want to be notified of when we go live in future. And then you can get a notification and join us live. But if you're watching the replay, then we hope that you've enjoyed it. And this replay will also be available on our website. If you want to look into becoming a member, then just go to colinbradleyart.com. And we've got free courses on there, but also there's a sign up button along the top, and our plans start from just $3.99 a month. So very affordable, and you can cancel anytime. That's all the sales spiel I'm giving today.
It's important, Stephen. You've got to do that.
Exactly.
Somebody for the first time looking at this and thinking, how do I
do that? How do I get feedback?
All of this.
How do I get involved? Exactly. Okay, so we'll let you know how the trip goes, and we'll speak to you all soon. So thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm Stephen Bradley.
And I'm Colin Bradley.
Bye for now.